Hey, welcome to the Winning Family Podcast with Rodney and Michelle Gage, a podcast designed to help you build winning relationships in your marriage and with your kids. My name is Dr. Linda Travalut, and I'm your host for the Winning Family Podcast. We want to say thank you for joining us. And in fact, you can help us by rating and reviewing the podcast to let us know if you find the content helpful and encouraging. And you can also share these episodes because we know you know people who need it just as you do. And I've got my hands on a hot little book right here that you can get for free at the end of today's podcast. I'm going to share with you how you can do that. It's called The Double Win. It's by Rodney Gage. It is 8 questions everyone must ask to win at work and at home. And I'm very excited because today we're going to break down this idea of what mentoring is. And Rodney and Michelle, first of all, welcome to your podcast. I get to say welcome to your podcast. And we're going to really dive into this topic of mentoring so that people understand what your goal is. What do you do with this Double Win Club? It's a mentoring program for marriage and family. And first of all, why is that so important? And just share with us from your hearts today.
Yeah, well, mentoring is, I think, in many ways, we hear a lot about, there's kind of a buzz around, coaching, life coaches, and when you think about it, we've all probably at some point in time have had a coach in our life. Whether it was a little league ball, ball team that we played on. We had a baseball coach, basketball coach, maybe vocal coach, cheerleading coach, and
dance coach.
And sometimes we think we outgrow that, but some of the highest paid athletes in the world,
singers,
Tom Brady.
Right.
I've forgotten how many Super Bowl MVPs he's won,
right?
And yet he still has a coach. Tiger Woods still has a coach. You have, and so the list goes on and all the different professions and career paths that people end up taking when it comes to getting, advice, coaching. It's really just the development process in one's life to grow, to reach their potential, but also just stay fresh, to keep, being stretched, or to even be held accountable, have, feedback, to get, that constructive, advice. Sometimes we don't like to hear it, but it's having that perspective of somebody speaking into, situations. So again, there's a tremendous need and a growing industry, if you will, in this area of coaching. And then, you have on the other flip side of that, you have so many counselors and therapists that are very gifted and qualified. And these are really the professional experts who, have been investing years and years, of education and training to help people unwrap and unravel a lot of different complexities in their life. And so, there are all kinds of needs and situations, but then you also have a mentor.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can all look back and say, I had a mentor growing up, or during a certain season or stage in our life where somebody a little older, wiser, somebody who's kind of been there, done that, bought the T-shirt, got the keychain, the bumper sticker to show for it, that can say, you know what, hey, let me walk alongside you in this journey and help you save some mistakes, help you avoid some of these pitfalls. Been there, done that, and I can help save you, a lot of, trial and heartache along the way. So whether it's mentoring, coaching, counseling, therapy, I just am a big fan and advocate of anybody, depending on their need, their circumstances, and maybe even the urgency of those circumstances, seek help, get advice. And now there's more resources, there is more available when it comes to all of these things we're talking about, perhaps more so than any other time in human history.
Yeah.
So we like to focus more on the mentor side of things. And I think even it kind of stems, I'll share this a little bit about my parents, and then Michelle can speak into this too, because of her father and the role that he played in her life, and of course in so many other people's lives. My mom and dad, this is interesting, and blows people's minds when they hear the story. And I won't go into the whole story, but the short end, very, very short end of their story. My parents both grew up in broken homes. My mom knew 6 different fathers in her life. And my mom married my dad, you ready for this, on her 15th birthday, okay? My dad, he grew up basically in the back of a bar with his grandfather, came from a broken home, a street gang leader, drug addict, in and out of jail. He was just a typical hoodlum. And so at the age of 17, he married my mom on her 15th birthday. So I would be safe to say they were not like your model couple when it came to, like teeing it up for success, And so that was their background. And long story short, that was what I call their BC days before Christ. But Christ eventually changed their lives. And then the man who was instrumental to lead my mom and my dad to the Lord happened to take them in as this young couple. They lived in their garage apartment and were mentored by this couple.
Wow, that's incredible.
And they almost like became the grandparents or the surrogate parents that my mom and dad never had.
Amazing.
And so because of that, and then that had such an impact on my parents, especially my dad, where he began to develop, he began to mentor, and bring along and raise up, young men. And of course, God gave him 4 sons. I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and he invested in us and taught us so much. And honestly, most people don't have that story. They can't say they had parents that did that. Flip side, Michelle, she's the oldest of 4 girls, and her dad, and really your mom and dad both had challenging childhoods as well.
Yeah, we're actually writing a book about my dad, and the principles that he taught us was such a gift. He, for those of you who listen and do not know, my dad just passed in 2020 from COVID at 75 years of age, that we had not anticipated at all, that he was just very healthy and vibrant. So I've been very aware and just really thinking back on the impact that my dad had on my life, and seeing the impact that others had on his life. When my dad was born, his father was in World War II on a Navy ship. And so we have pictures of my dad, my grandmother holding my dad as a baby, and my grandfather in his sailor uniform in the background. And so he was gone, and when he came home, the effects of the war had a major impact on him, and he never was really able to fully engage, and then was diagnosed with MS. So my dad was kind of missing that mentor of a father in his life. And it's interesting, though, as we've researched his life, and my mom has told us many stories, because he was an incredible father to the 4 girls, that me and my 3 sisters, and we're trying to figure out, what did he do? How did he learn to be this father? And my mom has since told us that he sought out mentors. He would, when we lived in Oklahoma City, he found this older man, and he went and sat down with him and asked him, how can I be a great father to these girls of mine? And the man told him, my dad said you would have thought that he would have said to pray with your children. But he said to play with your children is awesome. The most important thing that you can do. Right. And my dad did that. And I have just memory after memory of my dad mentoring me, sitting me down at the dining room table, I'll never forget, and him showing me how to read the Bible, how to read the Proverbs 1 a day, and because there's 31 Proverbs, and how to gain wisdom that way. And then all the way through his life, he began to mentor young preachers, young men that were going into the ministry. I think there was he knew the need was so intense because he felt it himself. He walked through it himself. He didn't have that example growing up, and so he sought it out. And then at the end of his life, kind of his legacy years, the end of his life, he was mentoring even our son Luke. He would, during COVID, he was FaceTiming our son every morning at 8 a.m. And they would read the Bible together. They would talk through life issues together. Just Luke would have questions prepared for him. And I've heard it said that mentors know the way, they go the way and they show the way to go. And sometimes we cannot grow if we're not shown the way.
Right.
And that's why mentors are so important in our life.
Yeah.
So really mentors, we could say, are the secret sauce, right? The secret sauce.
yeah.
And I love the idea that you don't necessarily have to be at a place of extreme unhealth to benefit from a
Right.
mentor.
Right.
Maybe a person would be. I mean, you both mentioned cases where maybe your parents didn't grow up with great examples in the marriage arena and they sought mentors. And then tell us about how even people that maybe their marriages are good, but they can still benefit
Yeah.
from a mentor, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or parenting
Yes.
as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially men. Yeah, I mean that's why we're so passionate about this whole area of family, because of the fragmentation of families today, and now third and fourth generation, where so many are growing up in broken homes. So used to be, broken home, parents, who unfortunately went through divorce or whatever circumstances, that was kind of like, that was almost a non, it's almost like that was so rare, and it was like, that was almost like an exception. Now it's just the norm. Now it's like, I don't even know that. And I think in a lot of ways, that's why a lot of couples are waiting longer to get married. Studies even show that, and a lot of that is simply because of, once again, so many have seen, they've eyewitnessed the hurt, the impact, the ripple effect that it has. And so a lot of times it's that fear of commitment and the fear of not wanting to be like their parents or, whatever. I mean, the list goes on and on. The point is that, rather than running from situations, running from commitment, running from relationships, or being non-committal, to certain things, God has a plan and he has a purpose and he wants what's best for our lives. And sometimes we can't see it. Sometimes we need other people to help us see what we can't see or hear what, for whatever reason, we haven't been hearing or willing to connect the dots with. And so that's where those voices of wisdom can speak into our lives to help us see things differently, to think differently, to really just learn how to really just move forward and experience life in a way where we're actually reaching our full potential in every area of our life. So, yeah, and it's something, it's easy sometimes just to feel like you're kind of stuck. We almost kind of like feel like you're in a place where you're in a rut.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like the same old. And it's like, and it's like the old saying, if you keep doing the same things you've always done, you'll keep getting the same results you've always gotten.
Right.
So at some point, maybe what you've been doing isn't working because you're going about it the wrong way. Maybe you need a fresh perspective, a different point of view. Maybe you need to, change direction, change course. You need to pivot in some ways to change and get out of, things that are holding you back. So again, having that coach, having that mentor, and especially someone who is a little more seasoned,
Right.
who can really speak not just from, hey, I listened to this YouTube video and, no, it's, hey, I've walked through this.
Right.
I've been through bankruptcy. I've overcome, this situation. I've had to hire people. I've had to fire people. I know what it's like to, walk through, and cope with rejection. The list goes on and on. The point is that you need people who can come alongside, meet you where you are, and help you get to where you need to go.
Right. Right.
That's right. And you have to kind of look for those people. So you look for the ones that have achieved what you want to achieve. Like as our kids were growing up, there were a couple of different people that I was watching and I was learning from, because they had the type of children, or they were successful in their parenting. And I wanted to learn, what did they do? What was this, the secret sauce, like you said? What did they do? So I sought them out as mentors in my life. And as I've gotten older, there's another mentor that I have in my life that I spend time with and learn from, that's just ahead of me. Not much ahead of me, but just ahead of me. And that speaks truth to me. And when I'm questioning things, or maybe I tell her what I've done and tried to deal with a situation, she's, what, we've talked about this before, but you need to adjust a little bit, because I desire to have, I think we all desire to have great relationships, relationships with our spouse and with our children. And sometimes we just need to be able to bounce it off someone where they can really show us, maybe from a mistake that they have walked through, but they know the way and they can show us.
Yeah. We were talking before the podcast, Linda, and this is something that I have seen played out in so many different ways. And it's really intriguing to me just based on where so many things are in our culture and society today. So, for example, there's such a high, expectation, if you will, and maybe a high level of respect that is given to those who achieve great academic status. They go to the best universities, they get certain degrees, and they go out into the workforce, they get that big job, career break, or whatever. And so here they are in this arena of extreme intellect, very, very sharp, professional, highly, highly skilled, may even have just natural gifts and abilities that just are just like off the charts. They just got it. And they do great, and they succeed and accomplish wonderful things. And then you have others over here who, maybe they just have certain skill sets that allow them to do things extremely well. But what's missing a lot of times is wisdom. And we have worked through and worked with so many people who are like overachievers, off the charts, successful, financially successful, high capacity people, but yet are struggling in a marriage, struggling with a teenage son or daughter, struggling in just learning or understanding ways that they can be better in the area of raising their children, because it's like, I can lead employees in my workplace, but man, I can't get my kids to clean up the room or do X, Y, and Z. And it's like they're blown away by how hard and complicated that is compared to running a Fortune 500 company. Right. And so, again, I think what happens is that there's a missing element. There's a void in its wisdom. And it's like, well, where do you get wisdom? Well, we go to the wisest one of all, and that's God. The Bible says to fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So I think when it comes to this issue of wisdom, the Bible says above all else, one of the wisest men who ever lived, King Solomon, said above all else, get wisdom. And in everything else you do, get wisdom. So we need wisdom on how to have a healthy, thriving, successful marriage. We need wisdom on how to raise godly, God-fearing, spiritually, morally healthy kids. We need wisdom on how to resolve conflict. We need wisdom on how to get out of situations and circumstances that maybe we allowed ourselves to get into, whether it's financial situations, whether it's just overcommitting to certain things. And it's like the old saying, it's easier to get into something than it is to get out of something. And a lot of times couples will find themselves getting into some very complicated, complex situations. They don't know how to unravel that. And it's costing them greatly. So that's where wisdom comes in. And that's really where coaching comes in, or maybe more specifically what we like to call mentoring comes in, where you're inviting somebody into your world, allowing somebody to really come alongside and walk the journey with you.
Right.
And not necessarily saying, here are 3 quick, easy tips, X, Y, and Z. It's not that. It's like letting somebody, first and foremost, just listen, learn, understand, because that's wisdom, and then allowing those individuals, once they gain a better understanding of who you are, what you're working through, what your challenges are, and then they're able to come alongside and say, okay, let's walk through this together. I'm going to show you, and we're going to actually help each other get out of what we're struggling with. We're going to move forward, and here is a plan that we're going to start using and implementing that's going to help us move in the right direction.
And champion you as you move on.
Absolutely.
As you take those steps to someone that it sees and knows.
That's right.
And is aware that can champion you.
Yeah, because we all know the importance of prayer.
Yeah.
And people say, would you please pray with us? Pray for our marriage. Pray for my husband. Pray for my wife. Pray for my kids. We don't take that lightly. There's power in prayer.
Absolutely.
But I also think, to take it a step further, they need more than prayer. They actually need a plan. They need somebody to say, yes, you need God, no question about it, but you can't just keep doing the same things over and over. That's not working. You need a plan to help you move forward.
Yeah.
So you need God and a plan working hand in hand together.
Yeah. So as you guys mentor people every month in your Double Win Club, what kind of topics do you cover? Like if someone were interested in peeking in, and of course they can do that if they go to the doublewinclub.com, they can get 30 days for free, right? They can take a peek, but give us an idea of what some of the topics are that you guys cover to help mentor couples and families.
Yeah, I mean, we do a monthly call. It's a 1-hour live Zoom call with couples, parents who join us. And I think last time, did we do conflict? I'm trying to remember what we did last time.
Oh, that's juicy.
But we literally walked through the subject of conflict and how to resolve conflict and, just the ins and outs of unraveling things that cause so much conflict in our marriage and especially with our kids. I think we did one here recently too, just on the emotional needs of our kids. And so we broke it down into 5 specific needs that our kids have. And really these needs are transferable even in our own lives as adults. But we just talked and walked through how to be aware and understand specifically what those needs are and how those needs, whether they're met or unmet, how they drive the behavior, the responses of our children. And so there's just a lot of things that we just kind of get down into the trenches and just walk through, talk through. It's Q&A, so they can ask questions. So it's very interactive. It's very engaging. So we don't just talk. We actually kind of tee it up, but then we want to hear from them so that we, have that dialogue. And then another thing that we do, because we had just found just through, with technology and the ability to leverage, for example, like an email, actually do a video, and that video, we call it the winning word. Oh. And so what I do every Monday, it hits your mailbox, because we know on the front of the week, you're going to need as much encouragement as you can get. But what we do, we take about 2 minutes, and on a video, it comes into your inbox, and I just take a word, and it's a word for the week that kind of shifts the atmosphere of your marriage, shifts the atmosphere of your home, shifts the atmosphere with your kids. And so what I do is I encourage them to take that one word and begin to just apply that word throughout that week in all situations and circumstances. It's amazing how that can shift, the atmosphere in so many different ways. And then another thing that we do along with that is we've put together, we have something in what we call a portal. So inside that portal is just all kinds of material content that we've put together from blogs, articles that we've written, previous, podcasts, previous videos, what we call master classes that we've done, where we actually teach the content of some of our books. And so they have access to all of the archives in that portal. And then in addition to that, one of the things that, we are trying to do more of is do what we would consider to be like online events where, those are opportunities for couples or parents to be able to just kind of set aside an extended period of time to just grow in these areas of their life. So all that to say, these are tools and these are ways that we can leverage those tools to help us grow. So the way I like to look at it, I don't even know, can't remember what it is. I think it's like $24 or something a month. But when you annualize that, that is nothing. That is nothing compared to what you're going to have to pay when it comes to a divorce attorney. That's nothing that you're going to have to pay to get, ongoing counseling with a professional therapist or counseling. Not that that's a bad thing, but sometimes that can become a challenge financially for a lot of people.
Sure.
And counseling may not be for everybody. A lot of people will seek out a counseling when they don't necessarily need a professional counselor. They need a mentor in their life to speak wisdom in ways that maybe, they just need somebody to help them with a plan, to help them with the guidance and the direction that they so desperately need. And man, if we could encourage any young couple who is listening, or even a young couple who's thinking about getting married,
Right.
I would say the greatest single encouragement and advice that I would give, especially to anybody who's on the front end of their marriage and their future, find a mentor as quickly as you possibly can, because a lot of couples will go through pre-marriage counseling, and we highly, highly encourage that.
Yes.
But at the same time, that's not an end all.
Right.
That's just the beginning. That's the baby steps of an ongoing way to start laying those building blocks and foundational pieces in the marriage relationship. So at the end of the day, we only become as good as what we're willing to commit to when it comes to the area of growth in our lives. And we need to always be growing and developing and becoming all that God created us to be for each other. And you're not going to get that at whatever university.
Right.
You're not going to get that at whatever, corporate, training event that your company, sponsors. Those things are all good and great for those, areas and spaces of your life. But when it comes to marriage, when it comes to raising your children, the parenting challenges of life, we need wisdom and we need mentors that can speak wisdom into our lives and give us a plan. And that's really what we've done. For example, like our book, The Family Shift. This was a book that Michelle and I did a couple of years ago, just before COVID. And this book really was birthed out of what we're talking about, because what we began to realize is a lot of these couples and parents were just lacking a plan. They didn't know really a framework that they could use to kind of help them apply a lot of things. So this was a framework we've put together through The Family Shift. And then this book that's brand new called The Double Win. These are 8 questions that, quite frankly, most people are not asking. I think we're all thinking them. Maybe we're asking them to ourselves, but we've never really had anybody ask these questions directly to us and help us unpack them to get really beyond the surface, to really get underneath. Because when we really get an understanding and we can wrap our arms around these 8 specific questions, it really sheds so much light on why we do what we do, what the underlying motivations are, how we actually can move forward, to grow in different areas of our lives. And it really helps give a framework in the way that we're able to grow in the area of our divine design and purpose, so that we're winning at home and winning at work and really achieving that double win, so to speak, in 2 of the single most important areas of our lives where we spend the vast majority of our time on planet Earth. So a lot of people feel like they have to give up their career ambitions, to focus on their home. And a lot of people say, well, if I'm focusing on my career, then I'm sacrificing my home. I mean, it's just the bottom line is that it's not an either or. It can be a both and.
Right.
But how do you get there? And that's how we can come alongside and help in the process.
That's beautiful. For less than a dinner out, folks can get mentoring from a very qualified couple who have been there. And you know what I love about you guys is that I would consider you experts, okay? And look, I've got a PhD in clinical psychology, so I know, right? And I'm a discerner, right? So I know.
A PhD in hard knocks.
That's right. But what I love about you guys is that you are so willing to admit you're not perfect. And so that
Thank you.
goes a long way when people can partner with folks like you who have been there, done it, made some mistakes, learned some things,
Right.
and you're out there helping others go through the same stuff. And I know you're grounded in God's word, which is going to give you a tremendous edge over other marriage mentors that I know of because you've got the right foundation. So what an incredible opportunity you guys have as this audience here, the Winning Family audience. If you are listening right now and you need a mentor, you need to get over to the doublewinclub.com and check this out. And you'll get a copy of Rodney's new book.
And if you're watching right now on YouTube, my encouragement would be take your pick to get started because both the Family Shift and the Double Win, we'll send these to you for free. All we ask of you to do is just help with the shipping and handling aspect of that. And then we'll send this to you for free when you sign up for a 30-day, trial, if you want to call it that. I like what you say. It's a gift. We're gifting you 30 days, basically. Try it. See it. Join us for the live Zoom call that we have and take advantage of the tools, the resources that are in our portal. Receive the weekly email that will come into your inbox there through the Winning Word videos. But this book is a great tool, and we'll send it to you for free when you sign up and become one of our subscribers. But listen, this could be the greatest investment that you'll make, not just with your financial investment, but really with your time. Because what it does is it holds you accountable, it gives you a plan, and it allows you to also take advantage of other people. We learn from one another. So you get other people's perspectives along the way from all the other people that join on the calls. And then we have a Facebook page where it's only for the subscribers. That way they can interact and engage and share, through conversations in that way. So again, it's iron sharpens iron, the Bible says, so one person sharpens another. We need all the help, support, and encouragement we can get. So
That's so good.
we need more than prayer. We need a plan. And this is a way that we can help people with that plan so they can win both at home and at life.
That's awesome. Awesome.
We're in it to win it.
In it to win it. That's good. That's good. So head on over to doublewinclub.com to sign up for your free gift of 30 days with Rodney and Michelle's mentoring. You'll get your choice of either the Family Shift book or the Double Win. And also, we really want to thank you for joining us today on this podcast, and we would love for you to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes as they are rolled out and released. And then rate and review because that'll help us know that we are on track. So guys, thank you for being with us. And until next time, we're here to help you win at home and in life.